Do you do an arm day?
I don't do an arm day. Arm day is curious because there's not really a compelling logical reason to structure an arm day.
Yeah.
Like chest and triceps work together, so you might as well do them at the same time, back biceps or whatever.
What if they're a weak point, you know, and it's something you're trying to bring up?
There's probably honestly less of an argument for an arm day in that situation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about arm days, and I'm going to give you reasons you should consider an arm day. Before I get into this topic, if you need coaching, check out the link down below. Coaching is what I do for a living. I would love to help. All right, so you just saw Dr. Mike and Jeff Nippard, etc., talking about there's no valid reason to do an arm day. I'm going to give you guys information on why there are valid reasons to do an arm day. I feel this video is a little bit reactionary. I feel, no disrespect meant, but I feel it's kind of dumbing down the subject. And it's confusing lifters. It's putting them in a position where they kind of fear arm day training. So let's clear a few things up and dive into the topic a little bit. I have 6 reasons to have an arm day. Number 1, we actually enjoy training arms. This is a good reason. For me, I don't know about you. We want big arms. There's no real reason not to enjoy your training. And sometimes adding in an arm day adds enjoyment. This is obviously the biggest reason to add an arm day because you enjoy it. As long as your weekly programming makes sense, then there's no reason not to add extra focus. As long as your recovery is good and you're not overworking movement patterns to the point where you're picking up strains and pains, have fun. Anyone remember fun? In this world we live in this modern training landscape, that's so overly focused on optimal and analyzation, sometimes fun can be lost. All right, reason number 2, the triceps can take a beating, and this is something that not a lot of people talk about. I've even seen Dr. Mike mention the triceps can take a beating, and I heavily disagree. I personally found that the triceps can take a lot of extra work and punishment and can handle a little bit of extra weekly volume, especially compared to the biceps. I've also found my recovery on triceps to be fairly solid. Now, everyone will be different, and certainly less experienced lifters might have more soreness than intermediate lifters, so adjust if needed. But for this reason alone, I often add in extra junk or arm day training for my clients that features more triceps work. They can take a little bit more beating. You want to give them a little bit more focus than your biceps. All right, number 3, and this is a big one. Your workouts can get clogged. It's very easy to have really clogged workouts that are going to take a long amount of time each day because we're trying to fit in everything. If you're training hard, you might find that by the time you get to the end of your workouts, you're doing chest, you're doing your shoulder work. By the time you get to the end of your push workouts, you might not have the time to give your triceps exercises the attention you would prefer. For this reason, having an added arm day when you can go in fresh and add in some triceps work is a great idea. I would still recommend getting in some triceps work during the week, a little bit maybe after your upper day, and then going in at the end of the week and attacking your arms or your triceps specifically when they are fresh. All right, number 4, when it comes to programming, it's not about arm days, it's about weekly volume. And I want you guys to remember this. When we are programming, the key thing we want to focus on is how much volume are we getting in over the course of a week, not how we are structuring it or if it includes an arm day. We want to look at the weekly volume, that is the number of sets for each body part. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your training split is. It doesn't matter what training split you're using or where you place exercises in that training split, as long as your weekly volume per body part is reasonable and sustainable. For this reason, the anti-arm day chatter that you just heard really doesn't make sense if your weekly programming is reasonable. All right, number 5, arm days don't have to be strictly arm days. Understand that an arm day doesn't have to be just arms. I typically program in something called a junk day. A junk training day includes extra arm work and extra triceps work, but it also includes work that is tough to fit in during the week. stuff that you just can't get in when you're training all the major compound movements. You might be struggling to add in, extra work for your calves or abs or rear delts, forearms, traps, or whatever else. You can toss that in with an arm day at the end of the week or a junk day at the end of the week. And it just makes for a fun workout. It's not quite as intense as the workouts during the week. And it's a little bit more than just a average arm day. All right, number 6, arm days can work well as part of a specialization program. If you're an intermediate lifter with a track record of making solid progress, then running a phase of training for 3 to 5 months when you focus on additional arm work isn't a bad thing at all. You've earned that right to do a specialization program. Specialization programs can be a lot of fun. And if you've earned a decent amount of muscle already, then there's no downside to running a well-designed arm specialization program. Now, just to wrap things up, I'm sure if I invested more time, I could come up with a lot more reasons why it makes sense to do an arm day or add an arm day. But let me just end with this thought. Any anti-arm day backlash should be considered reactionary nonsense. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but that's kind of what it is. As long as your training is reasonable, there's no reason not to add in an arm-focused training day or extra weekly arm volume. I find an arm day at the end of the week is kind of a nice break from the routine of smashing heavy compounds over and over again. Even though these days or these arm days aren't inherently light, they certainly feel like a fun intensity break. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great day.